Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I am here as always with my co-host who's in this direction. I have to think about it. He's over here. Steve,
Cameras
how
are
you
weird,
doing?
Blake. How do cameras even work?
Directions. I'm not a trained actor. I don't know these things, so I just kind of go. I look
This
at
guy
the
right over
screen and
here.
I
Am I
figure
right?
it out, and I
Am I
watch
right?
myself
This
do
guy?
things.
This
This
guy right
guy,
here.
this guy over
This
here.
guy. This
Um,
guy. Yeah.
we have a great show. We have some people who are going to show up down here, that direction I know. We are talking Jumpstart today. So we are going to do some Jumpstart previews. We're going to show off two of the themes that have not been revealed yet. We're going to preview a couple cards, and we're going to talk to a couple of the minds behind Jumpstart. We've got Mark Heggen and Doug Beyer joining us from Studio X. Hey
There
guys,
they
how you
are.
doing?
Right down there.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
So, tell me, work this out for me. Doug, what was your role? Mark, what was your role? What'd you guys do with Jumpstart?
So I was the set lead and vision lead for Jumpstart, and Mark was the product architect over Jumpstart.
All right. What
Yeah,
does
so
that mean?
Doug, well, in my view, Doug really was kind of the main mind that got this thing going. He built around him a team of other people, kind of design mind people that he pulled together. And then once we all realized this was something we wanted to make, then I jumped in and I helped kind of get it pulled together and worked on kind of some of the technical and production and product side things to really just take the vision that they had cooked up and get it to our fans.
All right. And for people who aren't super familiar with Jumpstart, Doug, give us the 2-minute pitch on what this is.
So the 2-minute pitch is playing Magic in less than 2 minutes. So making decks in Magic is one of can be time consuming, can be overwhelming for some players. We wanted an experience where you make one fun decision, picking two themes to jam together, and you're already playing. Like you can shuffle up two themes, and that's a fun decision to already have made. And then the decks do the rest for you. They figured out the mana, they figured out removal spells, your mana curve, all that kind of stuff is handled for you. You can just get down to the fun of playing Magic.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Mark, what's kind of the makeup of this? How many themes are there? How many different deck lists? What do you open?
Yeah, so the core unit of Jumpstart are these 20 card boosters. Behind the scenes, there are 121 fixed lists. So every time you open a Jumpstart booster, unlike our normal boosters, which are kind of truly randomized, here you're actually pulling one of 121 different lists. And then those lists are organized into 46 themes. So when you open a Jumpstart booster, the first thing you see is a kind of intro card that just announces the theme that all the cards in there will relate to. And there's 46.
Do we have a visual aid for that? Do we have a visual aid for that? There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna or that.
Yeah.
That. I have some physical packs that we're gonna look at a little bit later. But yeah, unicorns, that's going to be one of our first themes. So we're going to get to that in a moment. If you didn't figure that out from I can't even put below Mark. It says, I know. It says unicorns. It says Phyrexians. It says Phyrexian unicorns. We're going to get to those. But yeah, continue on, Mark. Sorry, we interrupted you.
Yeah, so when you open these up, you're going to see a card like you just did there that's it kind of tells you the color of the pack and gives you an intro of the theme. You'll notice that 121 and 46 are different numbers. The way it works is that some themes have multiple executions. So some of our themes actually appear, there's 4 different lists that support a single theme. So that as a result, they're kind of more common to open because 4 out of 121 times you will see that given theme. But then the cards within those 4 lists are slightly different. So you might not know kind of what rare you're going to open or what removal you'll have because the team built those 4 to be different but similar. And then also we were able to take some themes and just express them across a single one of those lists. So only 1 in 121 times would you ever at all see these kind of almost like a mythic rarity to those themes at all. And so the ones we're going to see today are some of those rare ones. And so as a result, frankly, you can play Jumpstart all afternoon and and at the very end, for the first time ever, even see a unicorns pack. It's pretty exciting. That's because it only drops, so to speak, one in 121. So it's a as you can tell, it's a totally different way of thinking about boosters, randomization, rarity, the experience of finding out what's in your pack. It plays by a totally different set of rules, a new set of rules than what we're used to and what our players are used to. But it all came from the genesis of trying to deliver this experience that kind of from the first play test till the end that Doug and the team were cooking up.
Okay. I want to make sure we're clear on the rarity, because I know we've seen a lot of questions about it at the different packs. So individual deck lists are all equally likely and equally distributed.
Yep.
It's just that some themes have multiple deck lists.
Right. So the Minions theme, for example, has 4 different deck lists that are all hitting that flavor of here's a bunch of minions that you do your bidding with, but they express that through 4 slightly different deck lists. You might get different card choices, but they're all trying to hit that same theme, and it's the same color. And then there's sort of an uncommon level where there's some themes that appear twice in that 121 list group, and those are a little more rare, a little less frequent. And then there's a couple, like Mark was saying, that are only appear once out of 121.
Like the ones that we're going through today.
Yeah, the ones we're doing today, down below. Still working on the directions. But yeah, unicorns and Phyrexians only have 1 list each. So let's get to some previews. Let's talk about some unicorns. What unicorns? That's it's not a common creature. It's not unknown, but why unicorns?
Right. So one of the fun things about making Jumpstart was coming up with what themes do we want to do. We wanted to have a nice big variety so that every time you open a booster, you're getting a lot of different experiences. And we laid out lots of different themes. And so every color is getting many, many different themes. So we had to look real deep. Like we've got dogs, we've got, spooky black things. And we needed to keep going. And someone hit on unicorns early on. And we were like, does Magic have enough mono white unicorns? Turns out the answer was no. So we had to make a couple new cards in order to fill out that theme to have a cohesive pack. So the challenge with Jumpstart every single time was deliver on the flavor of the theme that you're playing, but also make a functional half of a Magic deck, if that makes any sense, right? So each of them has a flavor direction that unifies the theme that the pack is built around, but also that it's delivering a satisfying gameplay experience when it's one half of a deck where it doesn't know what the other half of itself is. Challenging.
Right. Now, you mentioned that there were some new cards made for Jumpstart. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so Jumpstart consists of 3 categories of cards. It's a big card pool. There's a lot of cards that it takes to pull this off. So many of those are...
I see what you did there.
Many of those are older reprints. So we went and we grabbed old. For example, in this case, we went and looked through the history of Magic, and we said, what unicorns could we reprint here? So that got us part of the way. Some of the cards came directly from M21. So this set was kind of built in parallel with the M21. Both sets were able to kind of benefit from that alignment, and those cards are identical to the card from M21. We even just left the M21 expansion symbol on there. And so it's just it's a standard legal M21 card. We put it here because it did work for us. And then the third category of cards is we used in places where, as Doug said, sometimes there wasn't, we needed like whatever, a 4 or 5 drop white unicorn that also could work in this other way. And if that didn't exist, that's where we kind of rolled up our sleeves and the team made some brand new cards. So those cards have the Jumpstart symbol. They're appearing here for the first time, and you won't find them anywhere else.
All right, well, let's take a look at one of those. Our first preview card is called Blessed Sanctuary from the Unicorns pack. So maybe we'll show.
Hashtag blessed.
Here's some art of a plane.
There it is. We did it.
There we go. Doug, take us through this card.
So what's going on with the Unicorns pack is it really likes to cast unicorns. It likes to go wide with white creatures, and so we needed an effect that really emphasized getting a lot of unicorns. So this is a card that likes to be in a deck that makes a lot of creatures, but also gives you unicorns so that pays off that theme.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, so for those listening, I'm going to read the card real quick. Blessed Sanctuary, it's an enchantment. It costs 5 mana total, 3 white and a white. And it says, prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control. And whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white unicorn creature token. So this card is obviously, as Doug said, meant to be played with a lot of creatures. Let's take a look at one of those creatures. You've already seen this one. This one's called Brightmare. So this is one of the M21 cards. Can you talk? So cards like this, how closely were Jumpstart and M21 done when they were created? Was this card created for M21 and then you picked it up, or was it like we created this for M21 because we knew we needed this in Jumpstart?
And this one, I believe this one is Jumpstart exclusive.
Yeah.
And it was designed
to. I was wrong.
Yeah. So some cards that want to appear in multiple different Jumpstart themes are sort of doing multiple things at once. So this one is a unicorn, which was awesome for the unicorns pack. It adds more unicorns to Magic, but it also cares about life gain and kind of helps, like settle things down in the mid game. So it was, I believe it's also in the Doctor theme and other things like that. So it's appearing a little more frequently in other Jumpstart themes. So you're seeing it a little more frequently and not just in the unicorns theme. But here it's doing the job of I'm an awesome unicorn and so pretty.
That makes sense. And had I looked at the expansion symbol, I would have realized that it was a Jumpstart exclusive card immediately.
Right.
But your question stands. Yes, the development of M21 was super awesome. We worked with Adam Prozac's team heavily to see what themes, like limited themes and constructed themes, were going on in M21 that they were cooking up, and we took the opportunity to use a lot of the cards that were going to be premiering in M21 to show up and sort of define the flavor of a bunch of the Jumpstart themes.
Yeah.
And if I can just give a special shout out, all of our sets are complicated. There's a lot of work to make everything we do line up, but this product took it to a level I've never before witnessed. So imagine they're making cards that have to work across multiple packets. Then think about how those packets will combine with all the other packets in the system. Simultaneously thinking about how this entire product overlaps and interfaces with M21. So there's so many moving pieces. Any single change anywhere in the system reverberates through both sets. It was wild to watch. It was, to be clear, I helped not at all. I would just sit in the back of the room and like white knuckle it as the crew put this thing together. But it was there's a lot of artistry in the way that this thing is kind of engineered.
Fair enough.
Let me just take a minute to point out what Mark actually did do for us. So we have a lot of manufacturing partners that help us create Magic sets that are awesome and optimized at making Magic boosters the way we've always done them. This is not the way we've always done them. This is a very different process. So making Jumpstart boosters required a lot of work to get the manufacturing these unique boosters. And so Mark was heavily instrumental. That's the work he did behind the scenes to make sure we could actually physically create these things. So thanks.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, good job, Mark. Yay, Mark.
It was all. It wasn't even me. It was.
No, I know this set is complicated because it is, even though it's only a 3-day plan, it is the most complicated preview plan I've ever put together.
Right.
Like you said, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things coming from here and there, and but I think the result is, and I think that's kind of the point of Jumpstart, is that the result is that there's less work on the player. We did the work so that the player doesn't have to.
Right. That was always the goal, is like, we want this to be a fast, lighthearted, fun experience. You just smash some themes together and you go. We did all the work of figuring out how the rarity is going to break down, how the mana is going to work, how your mana curve and your ability to destroy an artifact occasionally, that sort of thing. All that stuff was, we played a lot of weird themes jammed with other weird themes over and over again to try to make sure that no matter what you do, 121 times 121, those different combinations result in fun gameplay.
Right.
Nice. Now, one of the other things that you guys put together for this set is there are a number of new legends in the set, and unicorns gets one of them. Like that transition there? Thanks. The next preview card we have is Emiel, I think I pronounced that right, the Blessed. So we have Emiel the Blessed, who is a 4/4 legendary creature unicorn for 4 mana, 2 and a white. Has the ability 3, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So the ability known as Blink to a lot of people. And then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay the hybrid white or a green. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. So, Doug, there's a whole bunch of these legends. Can you talk about their role in the set?
Yeah, so legends are awesome. They make just great creatures to define the flavor of a theme. They're also fun for Commander. So part of why that hybrid symbol that is in its text box is just to open up more different options for Commander players. So now that Emiel can be your Commander in a green-white deck, which just opens up a whole other color. Design-wise, Emiel is the champion of your unicorns pack. Emiel loves it when unicorns come to play or other creatures hit the battlefield, and there's a little sub-theme of making sure your creatures enter the battlefield over and over again. So Emiel creates kind of that engine too. You can have your Brightmare come back into play. You can tap another thing. You can gain some more life. You can trigger the Blessed Sanctuary again and get another unicorn token. So it's very careful wording. We want to make sure that Emiel's super awesome with unicorns, but remember the other half of your deck is not probably, unless you got very, very lucky, probably not also unicorns. So the rest of your deck is dragons or goblins or zombies or something, but it will Emiel will still function with just not as well as other unicorns.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll point out here is you'll see this card is a mythic. Earlier, we showed you a different unicorn that was a rare. And so the way it works is that every Jumpstart booster has either 1 or 2 rares or mythics. A third of the time you get 2. So 2/3 of the time you'll get a single rare mythic, and then a third of the time you'll get 2. So that was a thing that we stumbled across early. Some of these packs there were multiple cards that sometimes reprints that wanted to go in. We didn't want to say no to one of them. It kind of opened up space for something like this where we can put in extra good stuff. So we identified that early on, and then we just figured out how to make it work.
Gotcha. One of the other cool things you guys did with this set was that each theme gets its own new art basic land. So unicorns is, of course, no exception. So there is a unicorn plains that I think is going to be pretty popular, especially if anyone's building a commander deck with Emiel. So let's put up that commander plains with gorgeous art by Donato. There it is. Unicorns.
Yeah. Look at those clouds. Unicorns in the clouds, unicorns on the ground, just everywhere. Unicorns everywhere.
We knew that. We knew that these decks needed to come with land so that you could just shuffle them up and play. And for a while we were like, yeah, we'll just put in some. I don't know. We'll pick some reprint lands and put them in there. And then one day we're like, wait, hang on. It's a unicorn themed pack. The whole point is that it's full of unicorns. The lands have to be in on the gag. So we went to Annie Sardellis, who's on our creative team. She was doing concepting. We said, all right, here's the themes. Here's the land type for each one. And I just asked her, I said, like, swing for the fences, go all the way, get weird with it. I promise if some of these end up too weird, no one will be mad. And it's just home run, in my opinion, it's just home run after home run. Like, these are so fun. It just does stuff that we would never normally get to do. And so when you open up that unicorn pack, one of the fun things is to, like, go and find the unicorn land. And then you can add it to your collection.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's take a look at the full Unicorn deck list, which is, of course, going to show off some of the other reprints that got put into this. So we've got, of course, ML the Blessed, Brightmare. There's Inspiring Unicorn, Valorous Steed, Daybreak Charger, Mesa Unicorn, a classic, Ronim Unicorn, probably the previous best unicorn we printed. Blessed Sanctuary, Faith's Fetters. Valorous Stance is a real strong card that's going to be entering Historic on MTG Arena. Cloud Shift and Inspired Charge. And then I want to talk a little bit about Thriving Heath. So we already previewed the Thriving lands, but there's a little bit of excitement around those. Doug, can you talk a little bit about where the idea for the Thriving lands came from?
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that people could play their cards in their decks, and usually we accomplish that by adding some kind of dual lands that make more than one kind of mana. In this product, though, in this way of playing, your deck does not, like Thriving Heath is not aware of what the other color your deck is. So we created lands that were able to, you get to decide what its other color is. That way you can basically, it automatically becomes the dual land that you need for your particular combination of themes.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Let's move on to Phyrexians. Why not? Let's do it.
I think people are excited for Phyrexians. I'm excited for Phyrexians.
And there's reason to be excited. So one thing that a lot of people in chat are talking about, and something that people noticed earlier, and we have an article up on WeeklyMTG, is that there is a subset of 20 cards from Jumpstart that are not going to make the jump, pun intended, to MTG Arena, either for power level reasons in Historic, so that's something like Lightning Bolt, or for just they were too problematic to program for whatever reason. I won't pretend to understand any of that, but those are kind of the two main reasons. The card we are previewing first is one of those cards. So this one will be in the paper version, but not on MTG Arena. And it is not on MTG Arena for power level reasons. So let's take a look at this reprint, Shieldred Whispering 1. Yeah, so obviously this is one of the Praetors. Doug, why this one?
So in that search for what would be splashy themes to you know as you're opening Jumpstart boosters, what's going to pop out at you? We immediately thought of Phyrexian as one of the cool themes, and who better to headline a mono black Phyrexian booster than Shieldred herself? We saw her last in the Scars of Mirrodin block, and she's the leader of the black aligned Phyrexia faction there. So and a devastating card. And just a fun reprint to see again for people's collections.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mark, this is obviously this pack is headlined by a reprint. The entire Phyrexian pack is reprints or pickups from M21. How did you guys differentiate and choose, or this might be a better question for Doug, I'm not sure, choose which packs got new cards and which had enough to go in them already?
Yeah, so
Doug, you want to take it?
Great. It sort of depends theme by theme. Like in some cases, we chose a theme like Goblins, where there was like a zillion cards from Magic's past that are all fun and all great. There's tons of options for creating a cohesive half of a deck out of that theme. For a theme like Devils, there wasn't quite enough cohesion to really get across that. So there are more cards that are new in that theme. Phyrexian was one of those themes where just building around cards that already existed in Magic, there was a really awesome, cohesive feeling, evil feeling Jumpstart booster. So we used a couple of new awesomeness from M21, and then the theme really came together just with those tools.
Mm-hmm. And for those asking about what this will be replaced with in Arena, we're going to talk more about that in the July State of the Game, which will be right before Jumpstart comes on Arena. So, Steve, I know you're a big fan of this next card that we're going to show. What do we got here? Not the artifact land.
Well, this is a basic land, and people really love basic lands. I've heard, but I think they're really gonna like the fans of this particular faction are really gonna enjoy this. I don't want to give it too much preamble, Sean. Let's just put it out there. That's right. This is a basic swamp in Phyrexian.
Yep, that's
right. How you guys? This is amazing.
Why?
Like how? Why? Like this is awesome.
Right. So yeah, Jumpstart is only available in English. For production reasons, we're only able to pull this off in one language, so it's an English-only product, except for this single card. So the rest of the Phyrexian pack is written in English. When we came to make the Phyrexian Swamp, of course it's in Phyrexian. It's the Phyrexian Swamp. I don't remember who had the idea, but as soon as anyone whispered those words, it was like universally locked in. We went to Eli Schifrin, who's our Phyrexian expert in the building. We got the words translated. We were ready to rock. So it's look at that sucker, right? That's
it's so like, and
one heck of a
combined
swamp
with that amazing Titus Lunter art, like that.
Right.
This is going to be the swamp for anybody that is a fan of Phyrexians. This is far and away one of the coolest things that I've seen from this set so far, and there are a lot. That's not to diminish the other cool things. This is just super cool.
Yeah, one of the fun things about Jumpstart is even more so than a place like a core set where we have broad creative reach with something like M21. We could take that to the next level with Jumpstart. It really is a celebration of like everyone's favorite like what's your favorite part about Magic? Let's see if we can find a home for it. So stuff like Phyrexian, we haven't seen Phyrexians on a new card in a long time, and now all of a sudden, hey, we're making a new Phyrexian Swamp, and so it gave us the opportunity to do stuff like this.
So
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right, let's bring up, since it's all reprints, let's just bring up the Phyrexian deck list and take a look at everything you'll get if you find a Phyrexian pack. It's got Shouldered, of course. It's got Entomber Exarch, Phyrexian Gargantua, Mirror Sire, Perilous Mirror, Phyrexian Broodlings, Phyrexian Debaser, Phyrexian Rager, Dousing Gloom, Phyrexian Reclamation, which is a favorite of mine, Parasitic Implant, Malefic Scythe, which is from M21, and then of course the 6 swamps, 1 Phyrexian Swamp, and the Thriving Moor. Yeah, that looks like a solid list. Doug, do you remember, was there anything when you were building, you may not remember this specific deck, was there anything you're like, I want to get this in, but we can't kind of deal?
That's a great question. We always had a lot of choices on the table for what would work as the one of the rares. I think we had Phyrexian Plague Lord for a while in that one, but it just didn't work out as the showcase for that deck.
Mm-hmm.
It really wants this kind of like use your Phyrexians over and over again. Sometimes get them killed and sometimes bring them back. And Shouldered really nailed that really perfectly. But yeah, we always had a ton of different options. This is like, we were trying to cook up the coolest version of this deck where you're excited about the cards you're opening and you're also having a fun time playing it and using all of Magic's history and backlist and resources to kind of like bring these goals together with something that's flavorful. We were very close. We didn't quite get there, but we were very close to having this theme all have the word Phyrexian in the name other than the lands. We explored that theme elsewhere, but not in the Phyrexian one. But we got really close on that one at one point.
Interesting. I won't ask you which one because it's possible we haven't previewed it yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have yet. You'll know.
I do want to. So I know we talked, Mark, about rarity of the themes earlier, but this question came up again. I want to make sure to emphasize it. So, Super Kooky asks, "Is Phyrexia a mythic pack? Very low chance of opening it compared to other themes. Can you talk about it, theme versus deck list?"
Yeah. So Phyrexian is the rarest possible theme. We could call it mythic, I guess. So it'll appear 1 in 121 Jumpstart packs will be Phyrexian. They will all be the list that we just put up. They'll all be identical. And then a more common theme, an example of more common theme is minions or There's several. Minions has 4, so that's the most common a theme can be. It's 4 times more likely that you will see a Minions packet than or a Minions theme than you will see a Phyrexian theme.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the middle ground. Then there's some that have 2, so they're 2 out of 121. They're twice as likely as Phyrexian, and half as likely as Minions.
Yeah, makes sense. So I am seeing questions about like what does this look like in a pack, and we're going to get to that in a moment because I have some physical ones here. But let's first of all, this set's all about mashing 2 together, so everybody sees the Phyrexian unicorns, and that's what this. So let's look at the combined list of if you got a Phyrexian, and obviously it's Phyrexian unicorns, not unicorn Phyrexians.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's just what a combined list would look like. There's no real new information there. I just thought it was cool to put Phyrexians and unicorns together.
Yeah, this is sort of the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, Steve. Part of the fun of working on Jumpstart was just hearing the names that people were calling out of what their deck was. Phyrexian unicorns is a great example. We even tuned some of the names of them so that they would work in a more fun way. Like you can get Garrick above the clouds or Teferi under the sea or whatever, and just more names such that the mashup of the 2 names was funnier. And Phyrexian unicorns is awesome in that sense.
Yeah, we even took that. We took that to those theme headline cards we showed you before. So at the top, before you even dive into your cards, you see this kind of theme summary card, and one of the kind of graphic design asks for those cards was, hey, let's build them in such a way that it's easy to put 2 of them together. You can see it kind of goes horizontally. You can imagine if you had another one of these for Phyrexian, it's kind of easy to hold them together, and the name kind of spells itself out. You can flip-flop them, you can take a picture, you can hold them up and show them to your friends. So we, like Doug said, so much of the joy of this is just like, just that moment where you're like, you realize what a hilarious combination you've made. You haven't even started playing the game, and it's already your deck is already kind of has this charm to it. So we wanted to make that easy to share and talk about and brag about.
Well, let's do a little bit of that because I've got 3 packs here. So we're gonna kind of do exactly what you were talking about. So we've got some, for example, tree hugging unicorns. But what you see here, all right, I'm going to hold that up pretty fast, this tree hugging. So when you open what looks like a booster pack, this is what you're going to find inside. So it's got this cellophane wrap around it. It'll tell you what it is right there, right up front. So you'll see that once you open the pack, you'll see I got tree hugging. Now what you can do with this is, if you want to put these together and maybe draft themes or purposefully like let people pick what themes they want. Those are all options. I'm going to keep waving it around because you can't see things. But,
to make it more difficult to see for our audience at home. Yeah, obviously.
And then this is unicorns. And then I've also got minions. So let's open one of these up. We'll open up unicorn since we just previewed that. So you crack it open. And again, just as you showed, you've got the theme card that goes right up front. And then, yeah, all the other cards. Now, there are no, Mark, let me confirm this, there are no tokens in any of these packs?
Yeah, there are no tokens. That headlining, that theme summary card works pretty well as a token. So if you have to make a unicorn, we've had good luck putting those out. But no, for kind of production limitations, there's no actual token cards in the deck. And on the back of that theme card, originally we had said, well, that will be a token. We'll put a unicorn token on the back. As you'll see, it's actually a magic back, which is kind of a weird quirk. Why didn't we use this space? Again, it's production reasons. This is, I can say with all honesty, this is the most challenging and complicated booster product in the history of the game. They were like, we had teams around the world like building special robots to make this thing was nuts. And when you to get to the finish line, you end up making trades like, okay, fine, just put a magic back if that kind of keeps this getting closer to reality.
And you get tree hugging unicorns.
There you go.
Yeah. So and to confirm, no foils in anything, correct, Mark?
Yeah, similarly, there's no foils anywhere. It just was an impossibility, so no foils.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's answer some questions from chat. Let's go with this one. Will this set include a buy a box promo like others? Probably a question for Mark.
I can't remember. I don't know. I'm so afraid. I'm just going to not say anything because then I definitely can't say the wrong answer.
All right. We'll look into that. And
We'll definitely get to those details.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to follow things on chat. Steve, help me out here too if you see anything.
Yeah, I see a lot of questions about Magic the Gathering Arena and how Jumpstart is going to activate on that. There will be more details about how Jumpstart is going to activate and how you can play it, how you can acquire it on Magic the Gathering Arena during the State of the Game in July. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be talking a lot more about it, a lot more details about it once we get closer to the actual release on Arena.
Yep, makes sense. Talk a little bit about this, Mark. It's not really a question, but let's talk about it. There are a lot of good reprints in this set. Did you guys set out to do that? Did it just naturally work that way? Doug, you might have the answer to this too. We previewed Oracle of Moldiah, which is a pretty beloved card today. Where did did you aim for? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Answer. That was terribly asked.
Doug, do you want to start? Do you want to start, Doug?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, so our primary design goal was always to build a half of a deck that was cohesive in flavor and was exciting to play. And part of the fun of Jumpstart is, in terms of the rules of how you play Jumpstart, you're allowed to look at the cards as you open them, but the spirit of the format is kind of like shuffle up and just go, and putting in cards that make you excited when you draw them, and just kind of like, oh, hello, this card is this blast from the past. Part of that was also some of the polish pass on Jumpstart to make sure that we loved overhearing playtesters go like, holy moly, this card's in here? Or my opponent just did what now? So we want that feel of like, you're never going to be quite sure until you study all the cards and all the lists for Jumpstart. You're never quite sure what cards might show up. And so things like Oracle of Moldiah were in that camp.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say from my side, an early question we had with this was, who is this product for? Like, we knew that it was so kind of accessible. You can dive right in. You don't have to be thinking about all the decisions you make during a draft. And so partly that kind of lends itself towards like, oh, maybe this is really an intro product. This is for people just learning the game. And as we spent more time with it, we learned that it didn't feel correct to make this as simple as possible, to sand off all the rough edges, to make sure we weren't putting wordy cards in here. Instead, we said, let's give the team full freedom to put exciting, weird, sometimes cards with some real complexity and depth to them. Because for advanced players, it's so thrilling to open them, as Doug said. And frankly, for even newer players, we're just learning more and more as we do this stuff. Tolerances for that stuff are sometimes higher than you'd expect. And when we make the experience of getting into a game and playing, if we make that very easy, newer players who are still learning all the rules of Magic are much more tolerant than you might assume about a given card asking you to make complicated decisions or track certain things. So I think once we cracked that, you could just see it in the play test, like it just started kind of firing on all cylinders, and both people who love draft and don't love draft were having fun with it. So it really kind of opened it up.
Okay. Doug, I have a question specifically for you, and I've seen a couple variations of this in chat, so I'm just going to paraphrase. There are 3 cards in Jumpstart that have Therese Nielsen's art in them. Will we see any more of her art in the future?
Great question. We hear you. We haven't commissioned new art from Therese Nielsen in quite a while. The last product that will have any reprint art from her is this fall with Zendikar Rising.
Okay. Next question. This one's a little more lighthearted. I'm going to point it at you again, Doug. Doug, why no Phyrexian Tower in the Phyrexian decks?
We thought about it. We played with it. It was a little too consistent at what it was trying to do. Like part of the challenge for this for designing these decks is that we had a budget of a number of rares. Phyrexian Tower has been rare in a lot of situations, and we couldn't spend it in the land slot as easily if we wanted to have a splashy couple of other cards to that pack already has a mythic and a rare in it. So we were out of but if you take that's a great point, because if you take a Jumpstart theme, it's kind of the seed to a Magic deck, right? Like if you get 2 copies of unicorns or Phyrexian unicorns together, you play that deck for a while, you can start to see like, oh, I understand now why this pack is set up this way, but I could make it better. I can make improvements. We love seeing that. Like people are like, I questioned this card choice. Why didn't you add this in it? Well, you absolutely can.
Okay. Next question. This one's for both of you. So we'll start with Mark. What were your favorite themes in Jumpstart?
For me, it's no brainer. It's walls. I'm a passionate wall fan. I have a wall commander deck, and I honestly don't know to this day if Doug kept the wall theme in there solely so I'd stop asking him, or if he also likes walls. But there's nothing in every playtest. There is no feeling better than that moment where you realize I get to play the walls pack. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's in there at least some for you, or at least players like you. But it's an example of a theme where we wanted to make sure the range and breadth of experiences that you get when you open these packs is pretty wide, right? So like,
right.
Rainbow and Phyrexian and Seismic and Garrick or whatever are like really, really far from each other in terms of their flavor and their theme. So we want to make sure that, as you look across the room, or even across, your living room and the people in your home are playing Jumpstart, you're getting a whole different variety of experiences. And walls was just kind of like one of those, wait, can we do one that's just walls? What does that even mean? And we noodled on it for a long time. I think we need to create a couple of new cards, but we made it work. My answer to that question might be Under the Sea. I'm not sure if we've actually previewed that. Sorry if we haven't.
I don't think we have yet.
Okay.
That's okay, because we just won't say anything about the contents. So
I like it.
No contents.
Yeah, no contents. We'll just see. All right, next
This
question.
one made me laugh.
Specifically for Mark. For Mark.
Okay.
And again, many versions of this question, but I'll ask this version. How many shoes do you own?
I will say that the working from home is interesting in a bunch of ways. For me, the most interesting way the thing that's been the most different is that now every meeting I have starts with like a quick 30-second question about like, are those shoes behind you, Mark? So yeah, I have it's definitely less than 300, so there's nothing to worry about. It's nothing crazy.
Definitely less. Definitely less.
Definitely less than 300 pairs.
Yeah. All right. One other question I saw was about deck lists, and the deck lists for each individual, both theme and individual lists, are all listed on dailymtg.com. If you go there, we have all the lists that were previewed yesterday. We'll update it tomorrow with today's lists, etc. Previews tomorrow, is the last day of previews, and then the full card image gallery will actually go up Saturday morning. We're not even going to wait till Monday. We're just going to do it. Because we work all the time. Steve, did you see any other questions?
There was a great phrased question for Mark. Mark, what is your favorite Magic card and why is it Shoe Tree? That one was good. I like that.
Yeah.
People also are asking about the June state of the game for Arena. That'll be next week. You'll see it next week.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Well, I think. Yeah. Sorry. It'll be up on Saturday. Everyone. That good thing, bad thing. I don't know. I'm on vacation. It's still going up. It's gonna happen. All right. I think we're gonna call it for this show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Steve, what's on the docket for next week? Because I won't be here. I'm on vacation.
No, Blake is going on a much-deserved vacation next week. But next week, we will be talking a little bit about what we're doing for some of the initiatives we're doing for Pride Month. We'll have some members of the Wizards LGBTQA+ group coming in to talk a little bit about the initiatives that we're doing for that and some of the other things that you can look forward to. So tune in for that. It'll be me and some really wonderful people that I work with talking about the things that we like to do. So
cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Mark and Doug, for sharing info about Jumpstart. And we'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.